Hi, this is Matt from MBR Motorsports. Today I'm going to be putting together a IMCA Rochester 2-barrel carburetor. Um, it has been modified from its original factory as it did come out of the factory. It has been bored and adjusted to maximum level, or what IMCA will allow for that particular class. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and get started here. If you never put together a carburetor before, or especially a Rochester or whatever, they're the simplest of all carburetors. I'd suggest go to like a junkyard or whatever to find one, put one together, and take it apart, put it together a couple times, and once you learn how to do all that, you can pretty much do it yourself. It's a lot cheaper than taking it somewhere to get rebuilt or whatever. I just found one. I use one of a particular year. It doesn't matter which brand vehicle it comes off of, as long as it's within a certain year of what I'm looking for. The reason for that is because of different sizes and stuff inside the carburetor itself. They do some adjustments from year to year, but mostly from a certain 5-year period or whatever, it's usually the same, but I just choose 1 year and just stick with it. So we'll go ahead and get started. This is the throttle body. I'm going to go ahead and get it going here. Everything has been like where the vacuum ports and everything go from on the body and everything. They all have been plugged up with bearing balls and everything like that to keep air from going in and out. Sometimes they'll weld them shut or whatever, but bearing balls pressed into them works the best, I think. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started here. I got a plug here that goes in the front, normally where there would be a vacuum. Get that tight on there, and we'll get started with the throttle. It has been modified also for racing applications. There we go. Let's start the butterfly here. Let's see. Got a little debris. Get that out of there. Okay. They do have to go in a certain way, otherwise they don't fit right, and then you'll have air gaps, and it just won't. It won't idle the way you want to or run the way you want to. So they do have to go in a certain way. Before we tighten them all down, we'll put them both in to make sure we got them going. I usually mark them. That way you get them in right the first time. You don't have to worry about flipping them and trying them and getting frustrated and stuff. So, but before you tighten the bolts down, you want to or the screws down, you want to make sure that everything fits right. Good thing about new carburetors, especially racing ones, is once you get them back, either if you do them yourself or if you buy a new one directly from a company, everything's brand new, so everything goes together a lot easier. If you get one from the junkyard, it's usually all greasy and grimy, and things are stuck together because they've been together for 50 years or so. Depending on what your carburetor you get. Okay, got all that together. That goes together really good. We'll go in with our needles here. Now inside, where they go in, there's a little tiny hole where the tip of the needle pokes through. What you want to do is you want to screw them in right till the tip starts to poke through, and you stick your finger in there, and then you turn it back. Once you feel it out, you turn it back a quarter of a turn to a half of a turn. So now it's good. A full turn. Went too far. There we go. That pretty much sets them right where you need them to go. Of course, you'll have to adjust it once it's on the car and running. But normally, that pretty much gets them close to where you need to go. Okay, so I got the throttle body done. Make sure we got everything tight. You should use Loctite on these for the butterflies to keep them from going loose, but I usually tear my carburetor apart about every 3 or 4 races just to go through everything, so I don't have to. I really don't worry about it. If you're going to do it for a while, if you're going to do like 10 races or so, or a full season without doing it, then I'd use Loctite on everything. But okay, so we got that together. Then we use the gasket, put it on the throttle body. Okay, put that on there. There are certain gaskets and different sizes for different years and stuff. That's why I usually stick with 1 year. That way you know what you're getting and everything. You know everything goes together. You can usually put it all together fairly quickly. And these have three screws. Again, all these have been redone. So everything goes together pretty good. You can get a Again, you don't want to tighten anything down until you get all the screws in and set, because then you'll start stripping out parts and screws, and then you get into a lot of trouble. So, okay, got the float bowl on. Okay, next I'll put the idler. This is for your choke, but since we're racing, need it for racing, we don't have to worry about that. It's just there to stop the throttle from going too far, which is adjusted by a screw. Which you usually want to line up the edge of that with the edge of the throttle here, or on the body itself. Especially with the racing ones here. And then what happens is this screw here hits this, and it keeps from jamming everything together. So what it is it idles this here once it's on the carburetor, or this is on the engine. You adjust this screw here, and then it adjusts how much the butterfly opens to where it idles and stuff. So, okay, got that on there. So now we'll start with the Venturi here. This here has there's the Venturi. It has been modified from its OEM factory settings and everything. It's been bored out in certain areas. Different emulsion tubes have been put in for racing applications and stuff, and the ports here have been redone also. They've been bored out a little bit. I won't give certain specs for that because it's my carburetor and it's what I use, so it's pretty much how you try to get an advantage on your competition. Go ahead and put on the gasket. Again, once you get a gasket rebuild kit, get it for the year that you need it, and they'll throw in a couple of gasket sizes and everything that are different, but just find one that fits everything together. I spray my gaskets with silicone lube for gaskets. That way, when you take them apart, they don't stick to the carburetor, to the metal, and those that are pain in the butt to get off. So, let's see. There's a check ball that goes inside this the first hole right here. There's another one that'll go in the float bowl, or the pump well. Actually, I don't know. Yeah, okay, here it is right here. Okay. There's 2 different sizes. You got a big one, and then you got a small one. The small one will go in this one, and then the big one will go in this one here. So we'll go ahead and put it down inside the hole here. I wouldn't suggest putting anything down there and tapping it down. You don't want to do that because you don't scar it and everything, and that's no good. There's a copper spring. These things do sometimes break, or they wore out, or they get bent or warped or whatever. If that happens, I suggest just buying a whole new kit. They're like $30 or whatever. depending on which kit you get, but it comes with all the hardware you need. But just go ahead and put in the new spring. And there's a T, this little thing here, and use a pair of, I would suggest use, I wouldn't use needle nose pliers or anything, I just use tweezers, it's a lot easier. You're not scarring anything up. And it goes, there's 2 little slots here, and that fits inside the slot. It is sometimes hard to put in. We'll try a different way here. This is usually the hardest part, trying to get these in and out of the carburetor when you redo them. We're mowing, huh? Okay, cool. Oops. I'm doing this from home, so. Excuse. Sometimes these T's don't normally fit the way you need them to fit. I'm having a heck of a time with this T. Throwing those together pretty easy. Might have to use a stock one. I don't know. This one. Yeah, this one's not wanting to go together right. It's being a little butt. Flush with it. Otherwise, I don't know why it's not. Yeah, I'm not liking the way this is going together here. Let me go get another T real quick. Be right back. I'm not liking that one. Okay, I'll try this T, see if this one works. It seems to be going a little better. Try a different way here just to make sure. You want things to go together easily. You don't want to force things, because then that's when you get in trouble. Putting things together. There we go. That's better. Okay, so put that on. Okay, and we'll put in our Venturi here. Normally there's on a stock carburetor and stuff, they'll have emotion tubes that'll go down inside here. I don't have to worry about it because, again, this is just for racing. So put that together. And we got our screws. There's a skinny screw that goes right here in the middle. It's different from all the others, and it has a gasket that will go on it. You want it doesn't have no threads at the top. You want to make sure that's the screw that goes there. Otherwise, you'll have fuel leaking everywhere. And you got two longer screws on each side that hold that. Again, you don't want to tighten everything completely down 100% until you get everything started. And you can go through and tighten everything down. Okay, so we got that. Now we'll start over here. We'll put in the power valve. It too has a gasket going to go on it, and you want to make sure everything goes together pretty easy. That everything flows good. It moves in and out the way it needs to move. A little pin inside there, and that goes down inside the bowl here. Get that going. You want to be careful that you don't bend that valve in there, because if you bend that, you'll have to change everything all over again. So you don't want to put it in there so tight that you're going to strip it and try to take it out too. So you kind of want to get it both in between. Now, I do have new Holley jets. This has been tapped for Holley jets. Again, whatever size you want to use, it's up to you. I have a certain size I use. Some change it for the weather, some change it for different track applications. I usually don't mess with them unless you absolutely have to. They're a pain in the butt to change at the racetrack sometimes, especially when you're in a hurry. I don't know why it's not. I like the way that's going. Try it again. Again, everything should go together easily. You should not have to force things or anything like that. That one went in pretty easy. Sometimes when they retap things and they get everything going, sometimes there's little burrs and stuff that don't get completely there we go. That don't get completely taken care of, but that's why you want to take the time to go through everything, especially when you get it back from the CNC shop. Everything is clean and stuff. I had to do some modifications once I got it back too, so. But, okay. Got that together, got the jets in there. Okay. Now, like I said, there's another check ball that goes in this well right here. And inside there's there's two little holes that goes into. And you want to put it in the hole. I don't know if you can see that right there. There's two holes side by side. You don't want to plug it up one, because then you won't get no fuel stuff there. So you want to make sure you put it on the right one. And that should be it. That goes underneath the spring here, which will hold it down. So it should go on the right side. There we go. Got it. First try. Look at that. In goes the spring. Make sure that covers that up, which it does. Okay, good. Okay, so we got the main body done. We'll go over here and start over here with the top. Okay. Now, we'll start with the, let's go with the power piston here. Next to the power piston, there would be normally another brass tube that would stick out. Again, it's been removed and plugged with a bearing ball, to keep air from coming in and out through there. Just again for racing applications. Now there's a line on top of this where it lines up with the line that goes right here on your carburetor. You want to make sure that they're pretty even. And then you want to push down on it. You don't want to push down at the top of this. You want to push down here on the bottom of the plug. Just make sure that it gets on there nice and tight. Don't want to make sure it's on there crooked or anything. Okay. Oh, I popped that. See? Went too far. Let's try that again. There we go. Okay, and that should move in and out pretty easy. Again, that's the power piston. You want to make sure, and what that does is, again, we're upside down, so when it's on the carburetor like this, when it's under idle or whatever, that spring, everything pushes down onto this over here. So, onto the power valve, I'm sorry, right here, that little spring right there, or that little knob thing sticks out. Okay, so I got that on there, and then we'll start with the seat, needle and seat. We'll put in our, again, the seat. It's been modified a little bit for racing, high performance. Again, it has a little gasket on that. That goes on there. You can use a stock rebuild kit if you prefer. This just gives you a little bit more fuel and certain better throttle response and stuff on everything. So I usually spend the extra money just a little bit to get more of the racing high performance stuff. You're always looking for that edge in racing, so this will do it. Okay, then we'll start with, go over here, we'll put in the spring, or the, not spring, the valve for the pump. And then there's a certain, don't want to go too far though, you want to get down there, right? Then there's a clip that goes on there. I'll get that on. There is a rebuild for the pump if you need to. It'll come with a new spring and a new boot. I just bought everything brand new, so I don't have to worry about it. Put that on. Okay, and there is a certain, let's see, there's an arm, idler arm. It goes in, it's flat on one side right here. It's round and it's flat on one side to where it goes into this side of the, so it lines up just like that. It slides in fairly easy. Like so. I wonder why it's, there we go, yeah. Perfect, okay. And then that screw just goes down in there, so. Okay, we'll go ahead and put this together now. Put that in. And put in the pump. Goes together fairly easy. You do it right anyway. Should go level. I don't know, wait, I don't like that. Oh, okay. Just got to move it a little bit more. Again, you just got to adjust things here and there. Make sure you get everything the way it's supposed to go. Again, it's supposed to move. Oh, that's better. It's supposed to move fairly easy. Okay, then we'll start with new gasket. Oops. Gotta put the gasket on before you put on the new float or whatever you use. I use a blast float. They're a lot more reliable than the nitro filled version, the black ones or whatever. Sometimes those black ones absorb fuel and stuff over time, and it messes with everything. So I went ahead and, since I've already reused all this before, I went ahead and adjusted this arm here, and then of course the needle hooks onto that. There's a certain size, dimensions, and everything that you need to go by to help with everything, to make sure that it idles right and it pumps fuel right. It's usually like 9/30 seconds or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it was. I don't have it on here, but and then we go ahead and put everything together. Make sure you got that. It drops right. Okay. All right, and here we. I don't know why that gasket's a little off. Maybe it's just because it's brand new. Okay, so we'll go ahead and put everything together here. Put the top on now. Top of the carburetor. You don't want everything to, again, you want it to go together nice and smooth and easy. Don't want to force anything. There we go. Okay. And we'll start putting together. There is a longer bolt that goes in this middle here with this particular year. Again, you want to just get things started. You don't have to tighten them all down. Just to get them started here. You want to make sure that everything gets on here. So. Let's see, let's go with that over here. Sometimes the gasket will get in the way of the screw, so okay. And together. Now, before we put any more, you want to everything goes together good. Okay, which it does. All right. So before we put any more bolts down, you want to put in the new linkage arm here. Again, it's been redone for racing. Let's see, that goes at the bottom. There comes a little clip here, goes on the bottom. Get that on there. Oops. Sometimes these can be a pain in the butt too. Okay, and then it should go on the back side of clip here. These you got to put on side by side here. There we go. Put on the clip. Okay, so again, that everything should work just great. I mean, that's awesome. I like the way that feels. I'm really happy with the way that turned out. Okay, and then we'll finish putting on the screws here for the top of the carburetor here. We're almost done with this thing. Normally it goes a lot quicker than this, but I took a little bit extra time to explain things, so. You can use Phillips head screw or Phillips head bolts on these if you like. This kit just happened to can't come with the flatheads, so that's the reason why I'm using flatheads on these. I'll probably order a different set. I'm not using flatheads. I don't like flathead screwdrivers or screws. I usually use Allen head screws, but they're a little harder to find for carburetors. Okay, and then you go in a circle motion, working your inside out. That way you're not okay. Seems to be about done here. Oops. Okay. And last but least is where your fuel goes in. There's a fitting right here. Sometimes a lot of the guys will use the aluminum fittings that go into like a certain line or whatever, but I wouldn't suggest doing it into anything like this. I'd suggest putting in a brass fitting first. Again, that comes with a gasket too. There is a filter that you're supposed to put in here and a spring, but that fits inside here. But since there's already going to be another filter outside of the carburetor, I don't run one. So just tighten that up. Again, just tighten that up. If fuel happens to leak through there, you don't want to put silicone or anything like that, or tape, thread tape, because then it'll get sucked into the carburetor, and yeah, it's a pain in the butt. So just once you get in there, use an Allen wrench or whatever to tighten that down. And okay, well, that's our Rochester IMCA 2-barrel carburetor. It's rebuilt, ready to go, put on the engine, and I'm pretty pleased the way that turned out. Everything works pretty good. Kind of eager to try it out here and see how it runs. So, all right, thanks for watching. Bye.